One of the most common ways that backpacking trips get ruined is through blisters. Let's see if we can do something about that. Today we're going to talk about blisters. Blisters are caused by friction, so if we can reduce or eliminate that friction, we can really do a great job in preventing blisters. I used to get blisters quite a bit, and I always wondered why. Why am I getting these blisters? So I did a little bit of research, I did a little bit of testing and practicing, and I figured out some of the root causes. I solved for those things, and lo and behold, I rarely get blisters anymore. So the point of today's video is to share some of those things with you so you can reduce or eliminate any possibility of getting blisters when you're out backpacking. It'll make for a much better experience. Please keep in mind as you're watching this video is that these are things that work for me. Everybody's body is a little bit different. Everybody's feet are a little bit different. We have different gaits or ways that we walk. We wear different shoes. Our body mass indexes are different. So just because it works for me doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work for you, but I really think there's going to be some helpful information that you can get here and help prevent yourself from getting blisters on your next hike. Time to get started. We're going to start with what I believe is the most critical factor in blister prevention, and that is the correct socks. Not too long ago, I took a group of friends out backpacking where several of them were going on their very first trip. And the only question I asked is, what kind of socks are you wearing? And the reason I asked that question is because if somebody's wearing the wrong socks, it's going to be a bad situation. The main tip here is to avoid cotton socks. Do not wear cotton socks under any circumstances. They will chew the living shit out of your feet. I do own cotton socks, but I never wear them backpacking or hiking. I mostly wear them for laying around on the couch and watching television or reading a book. So what kind of socks should you be wearing? Most hikers these days are wearing merino wool or a blend of merino wool and nylon. My favorite brand of socks to wear is Darn Tough. Now, Darn Tough isn't telling me to say this or sponsoring me or helping me in any way, but it is my favorite brand of socks. I have a bunch of pairs of them. They last a very long time. They have a lifetime guarantee. You can wear them out, and I have, but after like 500 miles on them. But those are great socks. Sometimes wearing wool socks isn't enough, and in that case, there's a couple other things you can try. One is to wear sock liners, which is a very thin layer of sock that goes underneath your main sock, and that helps reduce friction. Another thing you can try if you're getting blisters between your toes are toe socks. Well, these look like something out of the 70s to me, and I don't wear them, but I've heard of people who have had problems with blisters between their toes, and they swear by these things. So now that you've picked out the correct socks, let's talk about the next factor, which is the right shoes. Personally, I wear trail runners, although I'm not getting involved in the debate in trail runners versus hiking boots. Just not going to explain how trail runners are more lightweight. I'm not going to talk about how they breathe better. I'm not going to explain how they dry more quickly. I'm not going to go through any of that stuff. When it comes time to actually buy your shoes, I'm sure you're going to do all of the research, probably have 5 or 6 that you'd really like to think about getting. I suggest going to like a legitimate professional shoe store to select your shoes. You can go to like a running shoe store, or I think REI is pretty good, and talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. They'll help figure out whether you underpronate, overpronate, whether you're flat-footed, what kind of arch support you need, and they'll put you in the exact right shoe for you. The other piece of advice I'll give you is do not skimp on your shoes. In other words, hiking shoes are a little bit expensive, but a good pair are worth it. If you end up buying a really cheap pair of shoes that aren't designed for the wear and tear of the trail, you'll A, probably spend more money because you have to replace them sooner, and B, you might even end up getting injured because they're just not designed for putting on that many miles. The next thing you want to do is make sure your shoes fit well. The best socks and the best shoes are no good if they don't fit properly. People sometimes ask, well, what is the proper fit? My answer is a little bit vague, but it's not too tight and not too loose, just snug. So what is too tight? Too tight would be if you're feeling any type of pain anywhere at all. You shouldn't feel your toes jamming up against the front of the shoe. You shouldn't feel any pain across the top of your foot. It should be just a nice, comfortable feel. So another fair question is, what does too loose mean? Too loose is if you're feeling any type of slippage or friction anywhere in the shoe. You shouldn't feel any friction on your heel, your toes shouldn't be sliding around. It should be nice and snug all around your foot. So again, snug, but not too tight. You can really adjust a couple of areas on your shoes. One is really down the main section of laces. You can loosen those up or tighten them up. And then actually another part is how tight you tie the shoe itself. Both of those should be considered as you're figuring out how best to wear your shoes. Another great way to prevent blisters is by toughening up your feet. If you are sitting on the couch all day doing nothing but eating bonbons, and then you strap on your shoes and go for a 5-day hike, you're possibly going to end up getting some blisters on that one. However, if you are out and active and 4 or 5 days a week you're hiking or running several miles, that's going to help keep your feet conditioned to that kind of activity and reduce the chances of running into problems when you're out on the trail. The next one is to use Glide or some other type of sports lubricant on your feet. Now, for me, I know that one of the sensitive areas is the very bottom of my foot at the base of my toes. When it gets wet outside, my feet are soaked. If I hike in that for 6 or 8 hours, I could get a blister there. So if I know I'm going to be hiking in wet conditions, I will put Glide on that part of my foot. The more you hike, the more you'll learn where your own hot spots are, and you'll understand where to put that Glide first thing in the morning or throughout the day in order to avoid getting blisters. Glide is generally sold in containers that look like this, which are kind of like a stick of deodorant. This is fine, but it's an awful lot to take on a backpacking trip, so what you can do is scrape some off and put it in a little container like this one. Now this will be enough to last you for a long time and weighs just about nothing, so it's perfect for backpacking. As a side note, Glide can also be a huge help to other areas that are prone to blisters or chafing. I'm looking at you, butt crack. Put it there too to avoid some real discomfort. And be generous. The last thing really comes down to experience and experimentation. If you've never hiked before and you're going to be going on your first trip, you definitely want to fill up your pack with all of its weight, put on your shoes and socks that you're going to wear on your trip, and do, I say, at least a 5 to 10 mile road walk around your neighborhood to try to understand how things are going to go. It's much easier to take advanced steps or preventative steps once you know what's going to happen. If you get on the trail and all of a sudden you start having problems, by that point it might be too late. One of the main points I wanted to make today is that blister prevention is something you can actively work on. People have said, oh, you're lucky, you don't get blisters very often. I used to get blisters, but I figured out the root causes, I solved for them, and now I rarely get blisters anymore. And you can do the same thing. We all look forward to our backpacking trips, but things can quickly go south if you get blisters. So keep in mind the tips I gave you today. Correct socks, correct shoes, make sure they fit properly, use Glide, toughen up your feet, and make sure you're practicing with your gear before you go out for your hike. And if you do all those things, I think you're going to have a great chance of preventing blisters and having a great trip. As always, if you found any value in this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks, and have a great hike.